Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline, live in the Bethel Park studios. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate it. Appreciate you watching us on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. Thank you very much. And we also appreciate you watching us on Verizon everywhere, from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between, even Monroeville. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip Hayner with us, and Smoking Jim Frazier gave him a little shout out to the community that he lives in, wherever that may be. We shall see. And thanks for all the likes on Facebook. I forgot to check it. I think it was 6,381 likes as of last night.
That's what it was.
Thank you for all the likes and watching our shows. We appreciate you doing that. We've got a show for you tonight, and we're going to start with What's on Your Mind, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at you.
you got to see Levine. Hanging out with my boy Stevie Breston today. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Stevie
Woodland
B.
Hills.
Yeah, hanging out with him today. And
Who
yeah,
bought
it was
lunch?
nice. You know what? we didn't go to lunch, but we did go down memory lane a bit. But a little fiction and fact from.
Oh no, what's on my mind?
Oh, what's on my mind? Okay.
Yeah, we got you back on track again.
Sorry I threw you off on who bought lunch.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it wasn't me. But
Well, I knew that.
but hey, just a quick announcement on Sunday at 5 p.m. I'll be on KDKA Radio 1020, and looking forward to it. Talk a little football.
Isn't that your annual event?
Well, you never know when they're going to cut me off. You know, I'm surprised they still allow me to come back, but I'm excited about it. But one of the things that's on my mind is that the Olympics. And the more I thought about it, I wanted to do a Mount Rushmore of Olympic greats, maybe the 4 greatest U.S. Olympics of all time. And, you know, I'm partial to boxing, you know. If you look at the succession that we had in the heavyweight division with Floyd Patterson winning the gold medal, then 4 years later, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay won it. 4 years later, Joe Frazier won it. 4 years later, George Foreman won it. So they were some of the greats. And Sugar Ray Leonard was outstanding. How about Carl Lewis and Michael Johnson? Great Olympians, but
They're not boxers.
But yeah, they're track guys, but they were great. But my Mount Rushmore would have to go number 4, would be FloJo, Florence Griffith Joyner. I just thought she was just, you know, just sensational.
Even though she was a cheater.
Well, she was sensational.
You're against that cheat.
She was sensational.
Okay.
But number 3, I would have to put, even though there's some controversy about him, Bruce Jenner. I thought that Bruce Jenner
What controversy is going on?
was
with him?
worthy of, he was a man's man when he won. And I just thought
76 in Montreal.
was that when it was, but he was incredible. Number 2 would have to be Jesse Owens. I know a lot of people got him number 1, but Jesse Owens is number 2, and Michael Phelps, 23 gold medals, would have to be number 1.
I can't argue with you with your list. They are all deserving. I believe, you know, in my humble opinion, I think what Jesse Owens did, considering the environment that he lived in at that time, I think was a much greater accomplishment than, you know, an athlete like Michael Phelps, who's been able to devote nothing but his whole life to training for his event. He didn't have to go out and work a job and deal with the segregation and the racism that Jesse Owens dealt with.
Well, you're probably right, but I thought maybe they would think I was
This
biased.
is what's on your mind.
They would think I was biased if I
Well,
put Jesse first, but
it-
that's not what's on my mind.
Well, before you go further, and keeping with your race mode every week, talking about race, you're consistent. You did bring it up somehow. I don't know how you started so early with it.
If I may interrupt you one more second, since we're on Jesse Owens, I was going to use this later. It's, you know, how I am with trivia. What college? What?
Ohio State.
Very good.
Know my black
college
He
history.
does
rerun
his
for-
research.
Know my
Jesse.
black history.
Okay, no, good answer. Good answer. That was going to be my one piece of my trivia from earlier.
But I think this
What is on your mind?
what's on my mind is we've been talking about the curse of the Pittsburgh Steelers first
No, you
40
have been
years.
talking about the so-called curse that nobody saw until after all this stuff happened,
But
and they become successful
but I wanted to. I have a
because
little.
of Dan Rooney.
I have a little nugget of fact that there's no two sources that have. There's very few
I need 21
documentations
sources.
of this, but it concerns Bobby Lane. You guys have heard of Bobby Lane before, right?
oh, geez, he used to close the Dante's up in Brentwood
There we
every
go.
Saturday night before games.
I just had a conversation with somebody last week, an older gentleman, about he was drinking with Bobby Lane, and they'd say at Dante's, it's like 6:30. He goes, the game starts at 1.
There you go.
He and Ernie Stotner used to drink up there.
Well, here's something that when you talk about Bobby Lane, I'm gonna give you guys a little nugget that nobody else has, and
I can't wait.
And it's a true fact, and it's not documented anywhere.
Where'd you get it from?
Well, I can't reveal my sources, but there's only probably one person on the planet that has this other than me. But Bobby Lane, of course, was if you check all the records, he was a first-round draft choice at the Chicago Bears and later traded to the Detroit Lions. He was a three-time NFL champion
With the Lions.
with the Detroit Lions, you're right. NFL's 1950 All-Decade Team. Detroit retired his number. Texas University retired his number. He may be the greatest collegiate baseball player of all time. He still holds 18 pitching school or SEC records at Texas.
Boy, did you dig deep after they gave you a little nugget.
Yeah, he gave me a little nugget.
I
had
can't
dig
wait
deep.
to hear what this nugget actually is.
And here it comes. I'm sorry it takes me so long, but here's something
I'm
that
waiting.
is fact, that is not documented anywhere. Bobby Lane was not drafted with the 3rd pick overall by the Chicago Bears. Bobby Lane was actually drafted with the 3rd pick overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he was also drafted that same year, 2nd pick overall in 1948 by the AAFC draft by the Baltimore Colts. And for the people watching, the AAFC was an All-American Football Conference, only lasted 3 years from 46 to 49. And a few of the teams stuck around, like the Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Colts, and San Francisco 49ers. Now, Bobby Lane didn't want to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers because Pittsburgh was the only NFL team still running a single wing. So they quickly traded him to the Chicago Bears, and it really is not documented anywhere, so it happened on draft day so quickly. But I was able to dig it up. But here's the thing that I like to
nugget.
end with, the nugget. The curse of Bobby Lane. In
What?
1958,
This is incredible. There's a curse of Bobby Lane.
In 1958, the Detroit Lions traded Bobby Lane to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Bobby Lane said that the Detroit Lions wouldn't win for another 50 years. So now we got
When did he say it?
we know about the curse of Bobby Lane, and I would like to really find out about the curse of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first 40 years.
Their curse is lasting from, 58 years and counting?
Bobby Lane was drafted by the Steelers.
Hey, you know what?
Thank you, Smokey.
Hey, I'll tell you what, he isn't the only Hall of Fame quarterback the Steelers drafted.
Yeah.
That's true.
We went through that
I'm
last
not
week.
talking
But
about
nobody, there's no document. Nobody knows that. So that could be a part of a trivia question if you guys can never find a right answer anywhere.
We got it.
We got it. You just
From
showed
you.
this tape. Just show this tape.
You gave us the right answer for this theory of the curse.
And all your drinking,
How about-
all your Bobby Lane drinking buddies never knew that.
They didn't care because he bought drinks like crazy. He wasn't afraid to buy, and he stayed out till it was game time. Thanks, Smoking Jim. We'll have to check some of those facts and nuggets because they're tremendous this week. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan. And first off, I just got to say this, guys. Let's go Bucks. Good things are happening in the
Yes,
next
sir.
6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Tune in. But you want to know what's on my mind. And I have always been the one that's pointed out how completely inept the NFLPA is. And I think they are in the process of exhibiting once again how little they care about their players, because it is the NFL Players Association, which is the name of the union, and it's run by a bunch of meatheads, okay? Now, DeMaurice Smith thought he was really doing the players and the game a lot of good by signing this collective bargaining agreement at the last negotiation. And he said, okay, this is such a great agreement that we're gonna sign on for 10 years.
Wow.
Now, the only thing that DeMaurice Smith didn't do, being the educated attorney that he is, was, I think, read the collective bargaining agreement, okay? Now, here we've got a situation where there are 4 NFL players who are stars. Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, I can't remember the other guy's name, and James Harrison. So now we've got 4 guys that have been linked to a story about potential PED use. So the NFL, in its infinite wisdom, feels that this is something that's worth investigating. Okay, sounds reasonable enough to me.
Well, don't they have the right to investigate?
Well, it's the NFL. They got the right to do anything they want. They print money.
Yeah.
But, Peyton Manning was also included in this group of players. So there were 5 star players that were mentioned in this article. And, without getting into a lot of details of it, long story short, everybody claimed that they had nothing to do with the PEDs. They didn't have anything to do with this article, and this is BS, and they make it go away. Well, the NFL was going to investigate it anyhow to find out if there was any truth to the allegations, which seems to me like a reasonable thing to do. Boy, I mean, who's it going to hurt to investigate?
It actually makes sense.
So, Peyton Manning cooperated. He said that this was total malarkey and everything. He cooperated. He got exonerated. He's being left alone. He's
on the commercials.
Yes, his good name is intact. And all he did was provide them the answers to the questions they asked and provide them with the information. Okay. Well, apparently, Peyton didn't have anything to hide. I don't know if these other players have something to hide, but the NFLPA is leading these guys down the wrong path, and these 4 athletes are going to become pawns in a game that they have nothing to do with, and they're going to lose money. And this is, NFL careers are short. James Harrison, this may be his last year that he's playing. Yeah. And he truly loves the game.
At 38.
Look at the way that he works out to prepare himself to play the game. Mm-hmm. It's a passion. It's his lifelong love. Now the NFLPA is going to tell him, well, don't cooperate with the commissioner because we don't think it's right that they're investigating you. Well, they have a right to investigate him. And, by not cooperating, you're going to end up becoming suspended. Mm-hmm. Once you're suspended, the paychecks stop, okay? And now it's going to get into a court battle. And we've seen how these court battles go. It may last a year. It could last 2 years. It could be 3 years. James Harrison could be in a wheelchair by the time they get to a resolution of this, and the rest of his football career will be wasted, and he'll lose all that money. Look what happened with Tom Brady in Deflategate. Mm-hmm. Now, Tom Brady is being suspended for 4 games, not because he deflated footballs. Tom Brady is suspended for 4 games for not cooperating with the investigation. Mm-hmm. Didn't anybody get this memo that this is the reason why? So by not cooperating with the investigation, they're going to get suspended, even if they don't have anything to hide. Just the fact that they're not so the NFLPA is going to say, well, they don't have credible evidence. It's not about the evidence. It's not about the crime. It's about whether or not you're going to cooperate with the investigation. And these guys are going to become pawns in a game where the NFLPA is trying to get out of a 10-year agreement that they never should have signed in the first place. Mm-hmm. Maybe they should have followed the Steelers' example, and nobody should have ratified it. But no, they were greedy, and this is what they've got. And they've got to deal with Roger Goodell. He's on a power trip. And he doesn't care who he takes down because he's getting $45 million a year regardless. It doesn't matter to him. But I just think that James Harrison is following bad advice. Don't listen to the Players Association. Play your last year of football. Answer their questions. What have you got to lose if you have nothing to hide? That's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. All right. Got a couple things
Finish
here.
your question?
Thanks to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Great pizza. Get a close-up of Smoking Jim Frazier right now, inhaling that. Whoa. 412-831-1900. Great pizza, great steak hoagie. Smoking Jim, they're gone. Wow. You did a good job. Yeah, thank you very much. And we always talk about Joey Strong, Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Donate $1. That's all it takes. The money will go to finding research against DIPG. There's Joey before DIPG and after DIPG, and it's a dreaded brain cancer, no cure. They don't know what causes it. They're doing research as we speak. They gave over $50,000 last year to the doctor to research this, so they're working on trying to find out what's DIPG. So check it out. Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation. We'll end the show with Stay Joey Strong. Now, for organizations in the Bethel Park community, there's money there. $100 to $5,000 for your organization. You can apply online at bpcf.org. Check it out. Groups are getting money each time. They're submitting their applications, and they're doing a lot of great things in the community. Get your organization some money and help to fund it and provide services throughout the Bethel Park area. Thank you very much for that public announcement. And that's my public announcements for right now. The Rev 'em Up for Kids, they got a date. I think it's September, I got to check on it, whether it's September 4th or something. They're supposed to do it. They canceled the first one that we promoted. We had Jim Gaskeb on our show. Great guest. Great t-shirt I got. Smoking Jim, they're trying to make it. I got a call from the guy who's sizing it up, Omar the tent maker. So he's debating whether it's 3X or 4X. Sorry, my friend. You told me that 3X was a little tight, so Omar's working on it, and he's holding back his tent making services for the time being. Hopefully they'll get one to you. I'm happy that it'll be out there. It's a nice t-shirt, I'll tell you that much. What's on my mind is I'm out there in the community, thanks to Marianne at Azazu for the haircut. Got them all clipped.
Looks good.
Smoking Jim, I didn't walk 4 blocks to get peanuts for you. Just couldn't fit it in the schedule. I had to park, and I got out of there right after it. Had to miss these storms. These pop-up storms are coming out like monsoons. I don't know how you travel from one end of the city to the other, but I made it out safely. Everybody seems to be talking about Olympics, and people are obsessed with watching the Olympics. They're having fun watching them. I got people telling me they get up in the middle of the night, they're watching badminton. So they're excited about the different sports there. Phelps is unbelievable with what he's done, 23 gold medals. And just the young stars, young girl Smith from this area swimming, a couple medals that she medaled, at the Olympics. Just great stuff throughout the area. It seems like people were getting excited and have been talking Olympics. So I figured I'd tune in the last week, and I started watching some more Olympics. Basketball is just United States. I don't even know why we're in there. It's unreal with basketball.
And they almost lost to France.
Yeah, I missed that one. Who knows what goes on? Get more pros. And then we got pro boxing. Pro boxers going to be fighting, so have to check that out and see what's going on.
The only black eye we got was when the women's soccer team lost to Sweden in a kickoff, and the United States goaltender had some disparaging comments to make about her opponent. She took a page out of Cam Newton's book.
Well, she sounds classless, saying they had no courage and things like that. So there's a little craziness there. She sounded terrible, and who even cares about it? These people, I honor them because they work 4 years and dedicate their lives to this one-time event. And Hey, God bless them, and God bless the USA. We need more gold. So I'll keep watching too. Don't change that dial. We still got more to talk about. That's what's on my mind. Let's go to some fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Woo,
Chief, don't eat your dessert yet. He got
Chief's got no power. He went out to olive oils. He
Did
messaged me.
Did he?
had to dig deep for this one. First of all,
What do you have?
reading my first book in about 2 years. It's a small read. It's taken me about 2 months to get through, but you don't have to pull up on this, Jeff. But that's our
Why? It's
friend
here.
Deborah Clark. Yeah,
We got Jeff here. He can
Okay.
pull up
Yeah, I
Deborah
wanna-
Clark's book.
He does this in his sleep.
Yeah, that's Jim Brown and Deborah Clark there. Former. She
What's
was
the
a
title
former
of that
fiance.
book?
Everybody Has a Story by Deborah Clark. And then I picked up this magazine here,
Where at?
and we had a beautiful girl on the cover there.
Of course.
And so that kind of caught my eye. And as I was thumbing through, I got a little upset.
No pictures.
They had a picture of me there as a producer. And so I'm going to call the editor.
Get a close up on that.
Yeah, I'm going to call the editor and let them know that the #1 producer in southwestern Pennsylvania is Al Levine, the talking machine. He should be in this magazine.
What's the
not
name
me.
of that magazine?
It's Pittsburgh Avenue. And I just see
Where do
that.
you even get that?
I just happened to see this girl on the front, and I thought, you know what? Let me thumb through it.
Did you see her again?
She's just dying for a call from me, right?
But the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, I did the Cuba show, and we had some guests on, some boxers, and one of my former teammates' son, Paul Palumbo. And so before the fight, I seen Paul Palumbo and his wife and his
What a
his other son.
coincidence.
Yeah, and he says he gave me this magazine, and
How old is it?
I'm not sure that the date is scratched out, but that's me leading the team out before. This is my sophomore year, and
I hate to say it. Hold that up to the camera. Let them see the cover.
yeah, I'll let them see the cover. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
old.
We
yeah.
got
Look
documentation.
at the figures. Look at the figures covering the 19.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read that.
Yeah, that's
Smoking Jim
yeah, that's
Frazier.
me leading the team out as and then here it says
Where's your dreadlocks?
yeah, there you
You cut them
go.
off. That's why you didn't make
He
all
looked, he looked like Urkel then.
And over here it says I'm one of the team captains here as a sophomore, but
Show me where it says that.
well, let me see. Try captains here. Down here and down low.
Hold
here.
that up to the camera. Let's see. We got to pull in on that for Mario Tempest.
So yeah, that's me down there, the black guy. And the other two captains the other two captains or guys that you know, Al Levine, the talking machine, was Paul Palumbo.
Yeah.
He was and Bob Frattini. They were seniors, and Palumbo was actually one of the all-time great running backs, the last white running back ever at Aliquippa, but because of reverse discrimination, they moved him to defense when he got to college. And Bob Frattini was probably one of the great deadlifters in the country, outstanding deadlifting strength. And also in there was a big picture of Butch Ramsey.
Wow.
And
Where's
Butch,
that picture? At least show that.
oh yeah, I got to
Butch is
show
our man.
Butchie. Got to show Butchie. But and that's part of the
Get ready,
fiction
Jeff.
and
This
fact from
suspense is
Smoking
killing
Jim's Almanac. I got to see if I can find old Butchie
And
in
thanks
here.
for everybody watching this because Chip and I are very interested
Here
because
go to Butchie. Butchie
look
Ramsey
at
there.
Butch there.
Butch Ramsey there, friend of the show. Is
Been a guest.
yeah.
His
And Butch-
daughter's been a guest, Hannah.
And unfortunately for Butchie is Butchie was and a quick story on Butch Ramsey.
Share it.
His freshman year, Butchie was all WPIL, but he was only 190 pounds coming out of high school. It's kind of small for a nose guard. And,
I would say.
nose guards are 275 and up. And so Butchie had no prayer of ever playing college football at that weight. So in the offseason, he asked me to help him teach him to be a safety. And I used to get coach used to give me, since I didn't have to go to class, I used to get a bag of footballs. and I take it to the gym and catch and work out with the footballs where everybody was in class. But Butchie, I was showing him how to play safety, and it was apparent that Butchie would never be a safety,
Really?
even in high school. And I never forget Dick Haley, who was the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers, his brother Bob Haley, who was also the uncle.
What kind of dresser is he? Bob Haley.
Yeah, bum. Just like his nephew is Todd Haley's uncle, and he was the defensive coordinator. I never forget this. The last game of the season, Butch Ramsey's freshman year, he didn't play one snap the whole season. And what the coaches would do if they wanted to ruin your red shirt to get you out of school quicker, they would play you a couple plays in the last game of the season. Yeah. That way you lose a whole year eligibility. And they put Butchie in about 6 plays in the last game of the season. And I remember Coach Haley called me up to the office. Guess he figured I didn't have class that day. And he says, watch this film. Yeah, he said, watch this film. I'm watching the film, and Butch Ramsey made every play. He said, and Coach Haley says, I've never seen a player like this before. So Butchie, the next year as a sophomore, was
So he found him in the last game.
Last game. So Butchie was all conference as a sophomore. He was All-American as a junior. 190 pounds, nobody could block him. And then his senior year, it broke his heart because if you guys listen on the radio, you ever hear about Dino's, where the Steelers in the media goes up a Latrobe? That was Dino DiCario. Dino DiCario was a big, tough nose guard. He's Italian, and our coach was Italian. In our senior year, they benched Butch Ramsey, an All-American, for Dino DiCario. And then Dino was a good player.
Yeah. And the wings at Dino's are top notch.
So so Butchie was benched for Dino DiCario. And I think Butchie ended up quitting the team too, I believe. But that broke his heart. You know, you go from All-American to being benched by Dino DiCario.
What a hard luck story.
Who was still in the news all the time because of his restaurant. So that's a little fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Thanks, Paul Palumbo, for a magazine I never even seen
from
before.
1982.
From I don't know what year, but it was, I don't know what year. But,
I know.
I'm going to
it was some year.
The next time I'm down spraying Cal U, I'm going to go into the records office, and I'm going to get the football
that was his
rosters.
sophomore year.
I'm going to get the football records, football rosters of all the
There you go.
football teams. And I will find you.
Well, we found out that.
And I'll keep it between you and I.
Oh, my man.
For the right price.
I'll just tell you.
For the right price.
I'll just tell you.
If you notice in the photo, it's number 22 at that time.
Yes, sir.
So that was the
high
number.
school was 21. Yeah, high school was 21.
Yeah, because I wondered why Buffalo Wild Wings doesn't have your gateway number there up in the rafters. They might have. I forgot to ask. About 21. I didn't know.
And there you go, fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Thanks,
that was
Paul
awesome.
Palumbo.
That was like 3 different fiction and facts.
Yeah, all in one.
Yeah, even
guys who were friend of the shows. You know, it's amazing how we come across guys and then we see them in this magazine.
And they're handing you stuff.
Yeah.
that nugget from Bobby Lane, I'm still stuck on that.
Drafted by the Steelers, and there's no document anywhere. But you can win a trivia question. That's the truth.
Very good. Well, now we got Chip Hayner's Trivia Time.
Trivia time. Okay, thank you, Alan. And to start my trivia off, something happened, I believe it was last Monday. Something happened in Major League Baseball that had not happened since September the 16th, 1975.
Whoa.
And this feat that had not been repeated until just last Monday was accomplished by a Pittsburgh Pirate. Okay, Rennie Stennett, playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Chicago Cubs, went 7 for 7 in a ball game.
I remember it.
And it was probably one of the few times that something that significant had happened in Major League Baseball. Well, what happened again last Monday, Brandon Crawford, the shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, went 7 for 7. And that's the first time that that's happened since 1976. Wow. And I need Jim's help with the math here. How many years is that, Jim?
40, brother.
There you go,
Yes, sir.
40 years. Very good, Jim. Way to go. And also, I'd also like to make note that thankfully, Alex Rodriguez's baseball career is over, and he didn't hit 700 home runs. You cheating.
Hey, Roy.
Okay, so next page. 1929, August the 11th, Babe Ruth hit his 500th career home run in the second inning. So 1929.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember, he set the record for for career home runs at 120 back in 1920. So he had quite the busy decade, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and I always like to make sure that I take note of accomplishments of note, and these accomplishments of note across Major League Baseball history is 300 wins by a pitcher or 3,000 hits by a batter. So Warren Spahn in August 11th, 1961, me at the spry old age of 1, Warren Spahn of the Milwaukee Braves scattered 6 hits to beat the Chicago Cubs for his 300th career victory. There used to be a saying when the Braves played, and it was Spawn and Sane, and then 2 days of rain.
Yeah, or pray for rain.
And,
Yeah.
and they were quite an unstoppable duo. August the 13th, 1948, Satchel Paige pitched his first major league complete game against the Chicago White Sox. And he was at the spry old age of 42 when he threw
So
his
they
first
say.
complete game. But, what his age was, we'll leave that up to anybody's guess. 1979, St. Louis's Lou Brock reached the 3,000 hit plateau on August the 13th. 1979, with an infield hit off of Chicago Cubs pitcher Denny Lamp. And also, when Lou Brock finished his career, he was also the Major League base stealing champion, a title that was taken away from him by Ricky Henderson. And, but proudly he carried that mantle for quite a few years.
Couple fast guys.
Well, and also I'd like to make note that in 1948, on August the 16th, the baseball world lost its true icon of the first half century of its existence. Babe Ruth passed away August the 16th, 1948. I thought I'd like to make note of that. And I'd also like to make note of the fact that Babe Ruth was a very accomplished baseball player. Mm-hmm. He did more than just hit home runs. Mm-hmm. He was equally as good of a pitcher as he was
left-handed pitcher.
As he was a batter. And just to give you an idea, one of the greatest pitchers of the first half century of baseball, Walter Johnson. Walter Johnson, they called him the Big Train.
Yeah. Jim's aware of him.
People couldn't believe, when the ball would leave his hand and end up in the catcher's mitt, you blinked, you missed it. Well, in a classic pitching duel, Babe Ruth of the Boston Red Sox on August the 15th, 1916, beat Walter Johnson of the Washington Senators 1-0 in 13 innings at Fenway Park. Okay? 13 innings. Well, the Pirates had some starting pitchers that didn't get 13 innings in their first 6 starts. So that just goes to show you, and we're going to talk about your Pirates. And then another interesting tidbit about my dear friend Warren Spahn. Warren Spahn, not only was he a 300-game winner, okay, a very accomplished feat, on August the 15th, 1955, Warren Spahn of the Milwaukee Braves hit a home run off Mel Wright of the St. Louis Cardinals. Do you know what was significant about that?
Won the game.
It gave Warren Spahn a homer in every single National League park up to that time.
Wow.
This from a pitcher who won 300 games. Wow. Now, do you think the pitchers should not bat?
No, they shouldn't.
And that's our NFL scout's opinion. Thanks.
Here's an interesting stat, and this happened in August the 14th, 1961. The Philadelphia Phillies dropped their 17th straight game in a 9-2 loss to Dick Ellsworth and the Chicago Cubs. And I bring this up for several reasons, but one of them being is that the Philadelphia Phillies were, I think, the first Major League Baseball team to reach 10,000 losses in their career. The Pirates are one of 6 teams that have 10,000 wins, so go figure. But the significant thing about this lawn. It was also the 11th consecutive complete game thrown against the Phillies. So in a 17-game losing streak, 11 starting pitchers threw complete game wins against the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the team was fairly inept. Now, the Pirates have started a resurgence, okay? And everybody has written them off.
Not me.
Because of the trades that were made. But here's a little tidbit I want to share with people today, this date on August the 14th, 1969. On an off day after a 3-game sweep by the Houston Astros, the New York Mets fell to third place, 9.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs. Why is this fact significant? Because the amazing Mets of 1969 went on to win the World Series that year, and in those years there wasn't the playoff system that we see now. There was basically a National League champion, an American League champion, and they played a championship game. So, just don't give up. Keep chopping
playing.
wood. Keep chopping wood, and sooner or later. Also, August 14th, 1971, St. Louis right-hander Bob Gibson, who's one of the most feared pitchers in history, pitched a no-hitter, blanking the Pittsburgh Pirates 11-0. And to get that no-hitter, Jose Cruz made a running catch of Milt May's 400-foot drive to center in the 7th inning, and third baseman Joe Torre made a leaping stab of Dave Cash's bad hop grounder in the 8th inning to retire him. So,
He actually played.
He actually played. 2 more little bits, and I'll be on my way as far as trivia tonight. 2002, August the 14th, Trevor Hoffman became the first reliever in Major League history to have 30 or more saves in 8 straight seasons. That's the reason why they call the Best Reliever in Baseball's award the Trevor Hoffman Award. They named the trophy after him, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Last but not least, Atlanta manager Bobby Cox. A dubious record set a dubious record in the Braves' 5-4 victory over San Francisco. Now, Bobby Cox won 13 division championships with the Atlanta Braves through the 90s and early 2000s.
Him and Deion Sanders.
Only won 1 World Series. So, hey, they won 1 championship, but they went to the dance 13 times. 12 times came away with a bridesmaid. Cox was tossed after the 5th for arguing a called third strike, the 132nd ejection of his career to break the mark originally set by Hall of Famer John McGraw. Wow. And that is probably another record that won't be broken, because now with replay, there is no more arguing with the umpire. They send it to New York, they blow the call, and it's over with.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be what they do.
If you get that close, you might as well go for the record. Yeah, Bobby Cox.
I'm telling you, go in the Hall of Fame for something, right?
Add to your records.
That 1 World Championship.
Thanks for the Chips trivia time. Glad you and Smoking Jim can share that. You got your own little nuggets there, Chip. Very good. On location, we'll be at Atria's on the 29th. We don't have a location the 3rd week of each month, so we had the night off watching Olympics. At least I was. So we'll be back on the August 29th. Get ready for that show. We'll have some great guests for you, and we'll see you at Atria's PNC Park, August 29th. All right, let's get into some Steelers. I ended up breaking one of my rules. I watched some of the game because I was just curious to see who they would put in and what would happen. And I watched about 10, 12, 20 plays, some early, some late. And I was disappointed about the preseason, so I'm not going to say that much about it. It's just what I expected for preseason. So I managed to stay awake long enough to watch Hay-Bay catch that touchdown pass from Landry Jones. I don't even think I saw the extra point kicked. But I went to sleep. It was 14-3. I wake up, check my phone Saturday morning, and we lost 30-17. But really, what does it matter? I mean, we didn't play anybody. You can't afford to
injure one of your high-paid stars that you're counting on to win football games, and these games really don't even matter. I guess they matter to the players that are trying to make the team, but they really to nobody else.
Their opportunities are limited for trying to make the team.
That's
what's sad.
Ever since that because they're trying to make this game safer for the players, which we all know is a bunch of malarkey. But it seemed to be that there was less injuries when they would have 2-a-day practices and they would hit each other in camp, and just the fact that they're not allowed to anymore, I think it leads to the injuries that we see as we get into the first few weeks of the season. Because I play fantasy football. That's a well-known fact. And my team gets blown up every year by the second week of the season because all the stars end up.
Bruce Grakowski got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
hamstring.
Yeah, and that they said it's a pretty significant tear. So I don't know if he'll even. See what
we'll
they
find
can
out.
Work their magic on him.
He's got some hard luck there. He's a hard worker.
Maybe Michael Vick come back.
Oh.
He's done.
But
no, don't say that to my wife.
But I took a lot of heat on draft day when I said that
in my
opinion, in my humble opinion, they didn't get no A from me. But
early,
yeah,
he gave him a good grade.
Yeah, they
and then it progressively
they took 3 of my players, but
and then progressively it got down to D-.
But I said. Me personally, I would have took Tyler Boyd in the first round. Nobody was projecting him to go in the first round. I thought he was a player that could play 6 positions. He could play either wide receiver position. He could play in the slot. He could return punts and kickoffs for you, which they have nobody to do that other than Brown.
AB.
And he could be a third down back for you if you wanted him to. And he can throw option passes. Well, it took him 4 days. Cincinnati Bengal training camp to earn a starting position as a wide receiver. Another reason why I wanted to take Tyler Boyd, I thought there was a need there for wide receiver. Martavius Brown will never play for the Steelers again. Sammy Coates, who ran an option offense at Auburn and was extremely inconsistent there, couldn't have played any worse. You can't depend on that guy. And I thought that Tyler Boyd would be good, but the Steelers decided to take raw Artie Burns, who only played 65% of the snaps at Miami. I said on draft day he will not play as a rookie. Everybody keeps saying that it's a benefit to him to go every day in practice against Antonio Brown. I didn't agree. That's like, how's that getting him any better? Because that would be like me going every day against Will Chamberlain one-on-one. That's not helping me. I'm not getting any better. The only thing that got him was a groin injury. The Pittsburgh Steelers needed defensive backs, cornerbacks in this draft. They only drafted 1, and he's raw and wasn't going to play this year. Then they had the midget from Mississippi that's out again, second year in a row, only 5'8", cornerback Sanquez Golston. So the Steelers are back in the same position that they are already, where they're very weak at cornerback, and they're going to have to outscore teams. And now you don't know what you have at the wide receiver position, because not only did Sammy Coates stink, just the way that he was sitting on the bench with that I don't care attitude, and the former McCutcheon dreadlocks. Which doesn't seem to help Sammy Coates at all.
But maybe he should cut them off too.
We'll let you two consult on that issue.
That's where we're at, and they're not, like I said, they're going into the second preseason.
The one thing that I found out about the Steelers' defense last year, and they were ranked number 30th against the pass last year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And they made the playoffs. And they won a wild card game, which in your book doesn't really amount to anything, right? Because it's a wild card game.
But no, the NFL, it means something.
No, okay, yeah, that's right. It's double standard. What he call that, reverse discrimination?
Let me ask you this, Chip, and that's great nuggets from you. So if you're 30th and you still make the playoffs, so you have a lot of great players on your team. Mm-hmm. why in the world wouldn't you at least draft like 3 cornerbacks?
I don't have an answer for that one because obviously the Steelers were kind of like the way the Pittsburgh Pirates were going into the season this year. They took a hodgepodge of starting pitchers and hoping they could mold them into something that would work out for them, and it didn't work out. The Steelers were counting on Senquez Golston to become a playmaker like he was in college, and apparently that's not going to happen. And I don't know if he's even going to get on the field. And maybe his whole entire rookie contract. He may set a record for the fewest games played in NFL history. What do you think?
Now
it's a possibility.
It's possible.
Now they got a foot injury. I don't think he'll play this
the
season.
Liz Frank injuries are generally have been known to be career enders.
Yeah, and a lot of times you need second surgeries on that. And if you're only 5'8", you kind of need your feet to jump. We need that vertical jump. Mm-hmm. And so he's probably going to give up that and a little bit of speed with that injury.
But, I think that the Steelers have gotten better at the linebacking position. They've gotten younger. Mm-hmm. They've gotten faster. Mm-hmm. And with the exception of, too slow. I think the defensive line has really kind of stabilized itself. And, now if, we could have some corners that could cover long enough for the rush to get to the quarterback, then we could have quite an amazing. But remains to be seen. There's been so much talk about all the upside of the offense and the greatest offense ever, and now we don't know if we've got Le'Veon Bell for first 4 weeks, and is the NFL going to come to a decision anytime soon? This has been lingering on since March. Okay, you said, okay, you're going to be suspended 4 games. He appealed it. How long does it take to come to a decision? Yesterday they convicted the state attorney general in Pennsylvania, and it took them less than 3 hours to come to a decision. That was 12 jurors. So I don't know.
Oh, she was guilty.
Yeah, well, apparently because they found her that way. But
the main thing been lingering with the Steelers seem to be the exceptional tight end that we had.
That's what I was going to get to, because we've got Ladarius Green, who was signed for $20 million, but oh, by the way, he forgot to tell them about his post-concussion problems before he signed.
Everybody got access to the same medical information.
Well, the thing that kills me about it is that, you listen to Tomlin, and Tomlin says he's not in the concussion protocol. And then you've got Ed Bouchette, who's getting out there and says, yes, he is in the concussion protocol. So either he is or he isn't, and who knows what the truth is. But there's one thing that we know for a fact. He certainly isn't playing football, and he wasn't in uniform on Thursday night or Friday night, and he's not going to be in uniform on Thursday night. We don't know if we have a tight end or not. And I hope Jesse James blossoms into, the next Kellen Winslow, but I don't think that we're going to see that anytime.
I just hope he catches a few passes that are thrown to him.
But here's the thing, with the Steelers' defense.
That's all.
With the way the Steelers' offense is, without Le'Veon Bell coming out of the backfield, and now you've got a question mark at tight end. So now teams can shut down their top 2 receivers, and what are we going to be left with? What is what's his name? The other running back from DeAngelo Williams. What's his longevity going to be? I mean, how many games is he going to go? Yeah. He's getting longer in the tooth. Yeah, he's old, okay, he's old, and who do we have to back him up? I couldn't even give you the name of one of them that that impresses me. It could be a little bit less of an exciting season than we had anticipated. Because
it's Super Bowl. I think Bruce Arians going to beat the heck out of them in the Super Bowl, but I think they can still make it to the Super Bowl if they stay healthy the rest of the way.
Well, the critical thing is going to be Ben being healthy.
Yeah.
And Jim has even agreed with me, but probably going into this training camp, I think Ben probably has the best offensive line that he's had since he's been here. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to be incumbent upon them to keep people off of him, because we've seen what happens to the Steelers when Ben gets banged up. And we can't afford to lose him for 3 or 4 games. Last year was the fewest games that he's played in his career. Wow. And he still played in 11. I mean, you said Ben is durable.
Well, that one year had a 4-game suspension, so maybe he tied.
They would still play 12.
Yeah, my math.
Yeah, no, it's that new math. So,
It's like the year of that magazine.
so I mean, here's what the thing is: we're not really going
I
to get
don't
to
know.
see what kind of a team the Pittsburgh Steelers are until the first game against Washington.
We can't.
You
That's
know,
how the
because
game's
they're
That's
not-
a
set
Monday
up.
night game.
Yeah, that's a Monday night.
I'm
I'm
afraid
way
of that
past
one.
my bedtime. Way past my bedtime.
Wow.
Even in September?
Dude, if it's
It doesn't stop.
Jim, 4 o'clock is when the alarm goes off. Okay, it's just too early in the morning. I gotta get my
I
beauty
know the,
sleep.
I know the feeling when I
I
work
gotta
those.
get my beauty sleep.
When I work those 3 days a year, brother, they're long days, man.
I'm telling you.
I know.
When
I know
is
the
it?
feeling.
So we've got nothing but question marks with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 2016 Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's lots of questions and no answers, and we're not going to get them anytime soon. So
No,
moving on.
we got baseball.
How about my Buccos? It looks like, for all of the ineptitude that the Pirates have displayed
Our
early in the
Buccos.
year, our Buccos, that's right. The Pirates seem to be turning it on and gelling at the right time. The moves they made at draft on the last day of the
For trades.
trade deadline, seems like they made some pretty smart moves. They got rid of the biggest culprit in their pitching staff, who led the major leagues in walks. And Frankie Liriano pitched 3 good years here in Pittsburgh. This year, he was given every opportunity to try to work it out, and it wasn't working out, so it was time for a change of scenery with him. And it looks like the 2 young kids, Chad Kuhl and Jamison Tyon, seem to be the picks of the litter. Tyler Glasnow, I was watching him pitch, and he does seem to have a little bit of an awkward throwing motion because he's a real tall,
I
lanky
was thinking
guy.
the same thing.
And I'm just wondering, is the problems that he's having with his arm, his shoulder, is he somebody that's going to have the durability
Maybe
to
not.
give you 32 starts? We'll see. He's a young kid. Hopefully he'll work it out.
I don't
but-
like him at the plate either.
But Ryan Vogelsong is
don't like
a feel good story. Now here's a
Yeah.
guy that took a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the face,
Oof.
and that happened back in May. And and yes, that's
To
just
come back now and
to
pitch.
come back, and he's pitching well.
Yeah.
He pitched another good game last night. Got the win, beat his former team, the San Francisco Giants. Gregory Polanco hit his 17th home run of the season. That is more home runs that he's hit this year than he hit in his first 2 years in the majors. And
Maybe
also,
he's coming into his own.
and listening to talk radio,
PED.
and I really just listen to it for the amusement sake of it, because I think, I mean, anybody that would spend 45 minutes or an hour of their life on hold so they could get hung up on in 10 seconds by a radio DJ, I don't know what I can say for you, but the people that get on the fan that said the Pirates made a money dump, the Pirates are not interested in winning. Well, it looks like the moves that the Pirates made seem to be working out, okay, because the Pirates are playing better baseball. And I made this comment last weekend before the Pirates went to go Los Angeles and San Francisco. I was like, we played all bottom feeders for the last 3 weeks, and we ended up playing 500. And the teams that we should beat the snot out of, we don't. But when we go and play the better teams, we play better baseball. And right now, we're 3-1 in the first 4 games of our road trip. 2 more games against the Giants. And here's an interesting little tidbit. Everybody wants to criticize Neil Huntington. And of course, everybody blames Bob Nutting because they seem like he's a puppeteer and he's pulling the strings. But if Neil Huntington makes the Pirates make the playoffs this year, okay, now will Neil Huntington get any credit for the moves that he made, or will we still criticize him for the moves that he didn't make last year? Because at the end of the day, every team is trying to make the playoffs. Only 5 in each league are going to make it, okay? Now, here's the other interesting thing. There's been 14 times in the history of Major League Baseball that a Major League Baseball team has made the playoffs 4 years in a row. Think about this. Major League Baseball has been around 150 years,
Oh, yeah.
okay? So 14 times
How long's the
teams
wild card been around?
have made
Doesn't even matter.
14 times. The Pirates, if they make the playoffs this year, which they are on track to do as we speak right now, Would you consider the moves that Neil Huntington didn't make last year? Would you say that he failed at his job or that he was successful? I would have to say, if the Pirates make the playoffs this year, Neil Huntington did his best job ever, and I would have to give Clint Hurdle credit for probably his best managing job of his career. I mean, you think about it. I mean, what is the goal? Everybody's goal is to win the World Series. Well, you can't win the World Series unless you make the playoffs.
Best
First
GM,
step.
best GM, and a manager to get you to the wild card ever.
Hey, you know what?
Who?
I'll take it every year, Jim.
Who
And you know
who
what?
are you talking
and
about?
I will
Smokey Jim?
continue to pay my money for my season tickets if that's what I'm going to be guaranteed. You know.
I'm still saying
Who are you talking about?
I've been saying World Series all year long. I believe in this team.
Well, I'll tell you what. The Pirates pitching staff is starting to work itself out. If you've noticed, they've won 4 of their last 5. And the only pitcher that seems to be struggling right now is Garrett Cole, and I do believe Garrett Cole will
come
work it
around.
out. He'll work it out. Garrett Cole's got the attitude that you want out of your starting pitcher.
Really?
He gets mad when somebody gets a hit off of him. He even gets madder if he walks somebody. I mean, the guy is just a fighter. You have to
You'd
basically
like him smoking,
You
Jim.
basically have to drag him off the mound. You
Yeah.
know, I mean.
He's a competitor.
He's a competitor, and he's got a fire in him, and I think he's got the, he's going to be one of the main reasons why we win.
Well, now he's healthy, so.
Well, you look all the teams that we're going up against in the wild card playoff. The Cardinals, Matt Carpenter and one of their starting pitchers gone for the year. The Mets lost Cespedes; he's still not back. Miami, they lost Giancarlo Stanton. They're coming to town this weekend. I'll be there for 2 of the 3 games. And they're not going to see Jose Fernandez. They're not going to see Madison Bumgarner or Johnny Cueto tonight or tomorrow night. So,
That helps.
The teams that we're battling against, I think right now, we're on better footing than any of them. And if there's the better time to get healthy, it's this time of the year. This is what they call the pennant race.
That one game scares me, though. Anything can happen. But if we get through that one wild card game.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Jim.
Well, Smoking Jim, keep watching on TV.
I like the radio.
Put that 108-inch flat screen TV
I'm a radio.
on baseball. It's nice to watch
You
baseball
know what?
on
Though,
TV.
One thing out of all the professional sports, I mean, baseball is a game that was made to be listened to on the radio
I agree.
more so than others. I really do. I mean, I grew up listening to Bob Prince, obviously, and he was an icon. But Vin Scully, I'd like to give a little shout out to him. 66 years. He has been the announcer for the Los
They
Angeles
named the street
Dodgers.
after him right there.
Yeah, he was an announcer for the Dodgers when they played in Brooklyn. Okay, and this is going to be his last year, and I just want to make sure we give a tip to Hat. But I think we're getting to the point where Alan needs to
Wind it
wrap
down.
us up.
Yeah, we're getting close to winding it down. Smoking Jim and I may be at the Family Fun Night at the Meadows Friday night. They have another one, so check us out there. And Smoking Jim, keep listening to that baseball on the radio and all your travels. And thanks for all of you watching our show. We appreciate it. Thanks to Jeff on camera. Devin's in the control room unless somebody else come in and they're helping out. I'm not aware of it, but we
Devin.
appreciate it. You guys make us look good for the folks out there,
I'm
and
telling you,
they
we
enjoy it.
couldn't do it without him.
No, and he does a nice job at it. So thanks, Jeff. He just come off of surgery. He's recovered fully.
Yeah.
He's a trooper there. So I want to thank you again, and we always end the show with stay Joey strong.